It's time with the Counseling Center here in your University of Competitive Choice. My guest this morning to help us with this conversation. I mean, it's like a home affair, isn't it? Because I have my own big sister here to help us with the conversation. Dr. Florence Ruth Akwele Intre is a counselor with the Counseling Center here in the university. Good morning, Doc, and many thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Anna.
I hope body and soul are in good shape.
I'm well.
There's a famous journalist called Kweku Baku who always say, "What animal is this? What is confidence?"
So confidence has to do with an exhibition of self-assuredness, knowing that what you're doing or what you're saying is right.
That's all. And I'm sure there are characteristics that will give you a clearer picture about what confidence is. These individuals, what do they bring out for people to tell that this?
So people who are confident basically tend to portray some form of boldness in whatever they do and what they say, because they have a deep-rooted sense of faith that whatever they are doing is right. They fear nothing. They actually fear nothing. And they defend what they do, knowing that I'm doing what is right, basically.
And you know, sometimes people misconstrue confidence for arrogance.
Yeah.
How do we draw the line between somebody who is only exhibiting confidence from arrogance?
So like I said, confidence has to do with knowing you're right. And when we talk about arrogance, we are basically going to talk about the fact that you're not ready to accept other people's view, even when you are wrong. Just because you think you're right, then you're just saying, I am right anyway. And that should be towards the arrogance.
All right. But can somebody be born confident, or is something you have to learn over the period? Is it by nature or by nurture, or a combination of both?
Nature might have its own effects if you're coming from a place where everybody exhibits that sort of confidence or self-assuredness. But when it comes to learning it, you can be someone who was not necessarily born to be confident, but because of your interaction with friends, with family, with people who are assured of themselves, you tend to somehow build it along the line.
People, you're still tuning to ATL FM 100.5. You're talking about building confidence and self-esteem. My guest, Dr. Florence Ruth Intre, a counselor with the Counseling Center here in UCC. And because the topic has two parts, confidence and self-esteem, I think it's right we look at self-esteem and what it really means. So how do we define self-esteem?
With self-esteem, I would like to say it's basically an overall opinion of yourself, because it's the word says self. So it's your overall opinion of whom you are. You can say that it's about your general positive or negative attitude towards self.
Explain.
So positive or negative attitude towards self has to do with I'm thinking right of myself, or I think bad of myself. So that's where self-esteem comes in. Your understanding of yourself. I don't believe in myself. I believe in myself. That's where you would have the positive or the negative self-esteem.
Can we have a situation where somebody will fake some of these things till the real individual comes out that, yes, let me show off that, yes, I have gotten there, but I'm not there, just to fit in?
So the environment has a way of affecting the way we go about things. The environment can affect you positively, whereby because of whatever is going on, you feel like, oh, let me be myself. In some other cases, the environment might kind of weigh you down in a way that, let me coil in. So you might coil in some cases, you might come out in some cases, and it's all about the effect of the environment or the people around you that will end you up in being confident at a point or drawing into your shell at a given point.
0275 14 49 49 0595 7438 66. These are engagement platforms. You have any questions, you have any concerns, you can share with us live on ATL FM 100.5. Remember, we're transmitting live from the studios of Kofi Toto Bikwachi here, the Campus Broadcasting Services Center here in your University of Competitive Choice. My guest, Dr. Entre, is helping us do justice to how you can build confidence and self-esteem. Doc, do we have other ways of describing self-esteem, or maybe synonyms or anything that mean the same thing?
So self-esteem can be seen as self-confidence, self-worth, how you value yourself, sense of worth, self-image. We can have things like self-respect, self-regard, self-assurance, and the last somehow has to do with how you portray it, pride. Just as you brought the arrogance, some might also see self-esteem as your exhibition of self-esteem as pride.
One may ask, what are some of the things one would have to note about themselves and their environment in relation to being confident or their self-esteem, maybe in totality?
So, like you asked earlier, the world in which we live in, that's the environment, and the people in which we communicate with, tend to influence us in a way. So depending on how mommy and daddy talks to you, depending on how your siblings relate to you, depending on how your friends communicate, like you communicate with your friends, how you even go about your things at work, all these places and all these people tend to have a way of influencing you positively or negatively, giving you that self-worth or sense of positive regards, and that can affect the way you behave. The truth of the matter is that we take in a lot from the environment, especially for those who have low self-esteem. They pick up things, and especially when the negative arrows are being thrown at them, and somehow it affects the way they see themselves. For those who have positive regard of themselves, they kind of go along. But those with negative influences of themselves or negative regard of themselves, they tend to sink in day by day, especially if those around them are not speaking the right words to them.
How vulnerable are people who experience depression or anxiety to the negative part or aspects of self-esteem and confidence?
So depression and anxiety have their own way of working on your mind and, dragging you into the negative aspect of your thoughts. So when this sets in, definitely your low self-esteem will be at its peak, because you won't think of anything good about yourself. You blame yourself, and like I always say, with depression, when you start blaming yourself, thinking about yourself as the person in the wrong act, you even tend to say things your worst enemy will not even tell you. So low self-esteem is terrible, and when it adds up to depression and anxiety, you need help.
Is there something like high self-esteem?
Yes, so we have two
Who
types.
are these people? How do they exhibit this?
So for those who have high self-esteem, they are the people you might sometimes say they are proud, simply because they know how to carry themselves about.
So it's not bad.
It's not bad. It's positive, actually. The high self-esteem people have what we call the positive characteristics. And these people, they tend to perceive themselves, they portray the confidence. They are the people who most often feel good about themselves in whatever they do. They've accepted their positive and negative tendencies, their strengths and weaknesses, and they are working on the weaknesses and most often portraying the positives. So that's how come they walk about confident.
How do you describe, on the other side, those we term people with low self-esteem?
So with those who are of negative or low self-esteem, they unfortunately play down on their strengths. They don't even consider it. When people even point it out to them, they seem to disregard or not really accept it because they're not really assured of themselves. Remember the words, self-assuredness. They don't have that.